Guys, this is the Vodafone Smart Prime 7, and I've never actually been this impressed with a sub £100 smartphone. Let's go. Coming in at just £75 RRP, this is one of the cheapest smartphones you can buy in the UK. It's made by the company Vodafone, who don't normally tend to manufacture handsets as much as they do contracts, but it's a very interesting device nonetheless. In terms of the way it looks and feels, it's got a metal trim around the edges, really something I wasn't expecting. The buttons on the side are really grippy and it's just strangely nice. And it's also slim, light, and cups rather nicely in the hands. The back does a good job of not slipping, it doesn't attract fingerprints, and the whole build of the phone is something I was basically blown away by. At the base of the smartphone we have 3 capacitive, light up, inbuilt keys. Now, they're actually very responsive, and the vibration is subtle, unlike some cheap Chinese smartphones which have very poor quality motors. So let's start by talking about performance. So one of the first things I did when actually getting the phone was run an Antutu benchmark. And let's just say with a score of just over 20,000, it doesn't set the board on fire. Now this is running 1GB of RAM and a Snapdragon 210 processor, so not exactly the highest end components, but performance is really smooth. Even flicking through Android 6.0.1, which is a very optimized ecosystem, going through the browser, even playing games, I was actually really rather impressed. Whilst most games don't run at a sort of full 60 frames per second for buttery smooth performance, you do tend to get a consistent 30 frames per second with just about every single title, apart from perhaps the most demanding 3D ones, but it can even handle some first-person shooters, for example. This is all rounded off by a 5-inch 720p IPS panel, which has really good viewing angles, a full colour spectrum, and enough contrast to keep everything on the screen looking sharp. As for battery, we have 2540 mAh of juice, which on paper is great, but in practice is absolutely amazing. The Vodafone Smart Prime 7 has extremely efficient usage of the battery life, and you can squeeze up to 8 days of intermittent usage on it. For example, if each day all you're doing is sort of browsing a little bit, checking a couple of emails, playing a couple of games, then this thing will actually last longer than most other smartphones on the market, but with intensive usage you can still get through almost 2 days. The camera is capable of taking 8MP photos or 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. Obviously not the best camera we've seen on a smartphone, but capable of taking some nice looking photos, with crisp contrast and a good level of saturation, but unfortunately it falls short when it comes to low lighting, and depth of field is not particularly impressive. Similarly, the front camera is pretty meh. The speaker on the phone is amazing. I mean, it's got mono sound output, but it makes my £500 Galaxy Note 5 sound tinny. Not that people seem to really care these days, but call quality was also absolutely fine. No problems there. The Smart Prime 7 comes built in with just 8GB of internal storage, which just isn't enough, but luckily there is room for SD cards up to another 128GB. So there it is guys, an absolutely stunning budget smartphone. £75 or just over $100 if you're in the US, and you're getting a great screen, insane battery life, a great speaker, and a half decent camera. With its 2.5D screen and metal trim, you're getting a look and feel that far defies the cost of entry with this product. After quite a long time testing it, updating it, retesting it, I can honestly say that this smartphone has impressed across the board. I can almost not fault it, and it's going to be very difficult to beat in 2016. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Mr. Who's the Boss. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you slap that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.